All right. The S&P 500 is only half a percentage point away from making new all-time highs after basically 3 weeks ago we had this scare that we are jumping into a recession and now close to new all-time highs. And then this morning we had a few economic reports being released. The weekly unemployment claims, we had the flash manufacturing PMI and the services PMI. And then tomorrow we have Jerome Powell holding his speech as at Jackson Hole, the symposium right there. Geez, what's happening this morning? A lot in the market, so let's see what's going on. And with that said, welcome to Coffee with Markus and Mark. And in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And today is Thursday, August 22nd. And yes, yesterday the markets made another high, not a record high yet, just still half a percentage point away from this. Let's take a look at this just on a 5-minute chart of what happened yesterday. So in the S&P 500, we see that yesterday, at first, we were pushing higher. Then the Labor Department dropped the bombshell and said, you know what? For the time period between March 2023 to April 2024, or the other way around, April 2023, this is what it was, to March 2024. You know what? We said that 2.9 million jobs were created, and we were kind of wrong. I mean, it was only like 2.1 million, barely. And this is where everybody thought, oh, the jobs market and market moved lower. But then going higher, and you see pushing higher into the closing slightly higher. And this is what happened yesterday. So what about today? Well, today we knew that on the economic calendar, we did have a few reports that could move the market. So let's take a look at this. First of all, we had the weekly unemployment claims. Now, the weekly unemployment claims, usually a yellow flag report, meaning having a low impact on the market. But recently, everybody is now paying attention to the jobs market. This is why it was red flagged. And the previous week, 228,000 people filing for unemployment for the first time. Expected this week, 232,000, and coming in exactly as expected at 232,000. A few minutes later, or an hour later actually, the flash manufacturing PMI coming in worse than expected. Any reading below 50 means contraction, not good. And then we had the flash services PMI coming in better than expected. So this is when the market said, okay, what's happening here right now? So let's see how the markets reacted to this. And looking at a 5-minute chart of the S&P today, we first opened higher. And then when the report about the flash PMI or the flash manufacturing and services reports came out, not a whole lot going on. But as you can see, after that, pushing a little bit lower right now, pretty much around the unchanged mark. So the S&P right now, 2 points higher than the close yesterday. The Dow slightly down, 0.12%. The NASDAQ pretty much the unchanged mark, and so is the Russell, slightly down 0.2. So what does this mean? It means that today was kind of a so far uneventful day, and what everybody is waiting for is Fed Chief's Jerome Powell speech tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So this will be 30 minutes after the markets open. And there's 3 things that we go and look for. Number one is, what will he say regarding interest rates? Is the Fed ready to lower interest rates in the next meeting, in the September meeting? Number 2, what will he say about the economy? Is the Fed concerned about the slowdown in the economy, or is this exactly what they're looking for? And then number 3, what does he think about the jobs market, the unemployment market? Is he happy with the progress? Because we heard from other Fed members who said, you know what, we are right now at 2% unemployment, and that's not a big deal. That is still okay. Well, we want to hear, what does Powell think? Is this still okay? Or does he say, well, we would like to see this drop below 4% again? Then also, maybe as a bonus, okay, what does he think about the progress that he's making on inflation? And this is where everybody hopes that they say, yes, they see this progress that they want to see. Anyhow, this is what the markets are waiting for. And if you look at the heat map, we see that overall it's a very, very mixed bag. We see a bunch of red here, or not really. I mean, this is just slightly red. So Microsoft down half a percentage point, Nvidia up 0.4%, Apple up 0.3%, Google up 0.1%, Meta up 1%, Amazon down. So as you can see, what does all of this mean? It is a mixed market. What does a mixed market mean? Let's go back here to the S&P. It just means that right now the market is waiting for Jerome Powell tomorrow morning. So today's reports, what I thought could move the markets, didn't do it. So will we make a new all-time high today since we are so close? And this is the question right now. So ATH, a new all-time high. And here's my take on it. No, we will not make a new all-time high. This is where traders are waiting of what's happening tomorrow. And Powell might push the markets to a new all-time high, or we might see a little bit of a retracement there. So everything can happen tomorrow. You want to make sure that you're tuning into the show to see what is happening. Overall, what's happening? We do have a few more companies reporting earnings, and one of them being Urban Outfitters. Urban Outfitters reporting earnings, as you see, coming in better than expected, providing a little bit of a weaker outlook. So at first, we were massively down. Right now, recovering. Still down 9% here. Zoom, video communications. I mean, everybody loves Zoom. It seems this way because Zoom is up 12%. And I mean, this is if you switch to a weekly chart. I mean, a welcomed release for, release? Reprieve? I don't know. Relief. That's what I was looking for, the word. For Zoom here after making these highs during the pandemic when everybody was stumping on Zoom of what? 550, then moving all the way down to $55, and now nicely up today to $67 and up on much better than expected earnings. So, talking about earnings, CSIQ was reporting earnings today, one of our positions. So WTF, we talked about this. No win the fear positions here, but we do have several wheel positions. And the first wheel position here is CSIQ reporting earnings this morning, and the earnings weren't that good. Let's take a look at this here on this chart. So we see that earnings, first of all, coming in much worse than expected. So the revised estimate was around 21 cents, and they say, well, we were barely profitable by 2 cents. So missing earnings. The good news, they are profitable. The good news here, they beat on revenue, the expectations, but of course, these earnings, they are not good. And this is why right now CSIQ is tumbling, as you can see. So we go back to the PowerX Optimizer, right now down 11%, trading at the lows, trading actually at 52 weeks lows. So the question is what to expect from here, and should we panic with our CSIQ position? And well, this is where I like to go to the earnings analyzer, where we can analyze the earnings of the last 12 quarters, or we can even go further out. Let me just do this, and let's actually go to the max. Why not? Because here's what I want to show you. So we have two reactions here. We first have the opening price change. This means the overnight reaction. So that is what's happening after earnings are being released. So this is what is happening today. And then we have the 7-day price reaction. Now, here's what I want to look for. Okay, the last time on the first day after earnings, where we were massively down 13%, what happened 7 days later? 7 days later, we were kind of exactly where we were right before earnings. Here's another big one. So we see that we were down 5% on the first day. I mean, not as much as today, but today is also not over. But right now we're down 11%, right? And then what happened? 7 days later, we were up almost 8%. We also see, let's see if we have another one that's double digits here as we are moving down. And don't see any more double digits. So this is where I say it can be that we are recovering. And if you look back on CSIQ, if you go back to the chart here, we know that when was it actually? It was these earnings. I want to show you these. Let's just zoom in, right? This is where we had worse than expected earnings, opening massively lower and having a massive recovery on the same day. Now, I don't see that happening today. So today, it seems to be more like a day, okay, we were opening lower, so we can take a look at a 5-minute chart here so that we see what is happening on a 5-minute chart. Let's just give it a minute to load. So we see that we opened, let's see, where did we open? Right here. So at around, I want to say maybe 1330. Then at first looked like a recovery attempt. Right now, moving lower, going up a little bit. Right now, hovering around 13. And I think it will be very important to see today. Will we go above the opening price? So will actually be the initial shock being shaken off and will close above the opening price. Then I do believe that there's a possibility that we could recover, I mean, towards the closing price that we had yesterday. Again, not what we want to see, still away from our break even as well as our cost basis. But I mean, for me, it's not yet time to panic where I say, oh my gosh. So I looked into the earnings report, of course, because I have CSIQ. And what did they say? Well, they said, okay, first of all, higher interest rates don't help them. The economy slowing down don't help them. And they said, here's what we are doing to combat this. So number one, we are streamlining our supply chain so that we can be a little bit more nimble. Number two, we defer massive investments because we want to go back to profitability. So I'm abbreviating here with profits. So overall, when I looked at the numbers, it wasn't that bad. And even though they definitely missed on earnings and they're down for today, I do believe that they have a good chance of bouncing back. Now, again, tomorrow, what will Powell say? Because this will also influence CSIQ. Right now, traders are saying, okay, there's 100% probability that the Fed will lower interest rates at their next meeting. Now, their next meeting is still 27 days away, so it's quite a few away. Most traders, 73%, believe that they will lower interest rates by a quarter point. There's still a few in the camp of half a point. I'm in the camp of a quarter point, and I think this is what they will do. Now, again, tomorrow we get much more intel. However, Powell will also say, you know what, guys, don't celebrate too early. Whatever I say today doesn't really matter because we do have quite some data coming in. So, for example, we will have next week the core PCE price index, which is the favorite inflation gauge. So we have this coming in next week. In 2 weeks from now, we have another jobs report coming in. And then in 3 weeks from now, we have more of the core CPI and the PPI, more inflation data. And only after all of this data is out of the way, then we have the next Fed meeting. So lots of data still coming our way. Let me just go back here to this week. So there's still a lot to do. Anyhow, we were talking about our positions and we were talking about CSIQ. So CSIQ, obviously, not having a good day today at all. What else? Halliburton just hanging in there right now, right around the unchanged mark. As you can see, down 1 cent for the day. So nothing for us to do there. KSS, together with Urban Outfitters, moving lower today, down 2.3%. So nothing for me to do just yet. Kohl's reporting earnings next week, so we'll see what happens until then. Merck had a good day yesterday. Closing up 0.77% for Merck. That's a good day right now. So yesterday we were trading right at my break-even point. Right now, slightly below my break-even point. As you can see, my break-even is at 116.01, and right now we are trading at 115.29. So nothing yet for me to do there. And then UPS surprised me today. UPS going back into the middle of the range that we had here, or that we have between 124 on the low end and 132 on the up end. So we know that the middle here is 128 today, just trading around the middle of the range here, a little bit below with approximately 127. So not much for me to do right now with these existing positions. Again, tomorrow will be the big day, so let's see what the S&P is doing as we are waiting. And while we do this, it is the time of the day for a dad joke, and I can't wait for Mark to be back because I've several ones that will be so much better when I ask Mark a question. And one asks the other, "Hey, what's your favorite song?" And the other replies, "Well, all my life I've been a heavy metal fan." Sorry, I'm cracking myself up. I think it's a good one. Come on, windmill, heavy metal fan. Yes, no, chuckle, maybe. Okay, so let's go back to the markets and see what's happening. So as you can see, there we go to these markets. So the S&P right now slightly down 0.1%, the Dow 0.26%, the Nasdaq 0.18%, and the Russell a little bit more. The VIX slightly up today, trading at 16.77, so up 3% from yesterday. So there's a little bit of fear, and I don't want to say it's fear. It's more of uncertainty, and the uncertainty is what will Powell say tomorrow. As said, 4 main things that he will focus on, and we'll see. Until then, I do believe that after we had a winning day yesterday, that today we might have a losing day, meaning that we close lower as we get into the main event of the week, which is Powell's speech tomorrow. So therefore, you absolutely want to make sure that you're tuning in tomorrow, because when we go live, Powell will have spoken and we'll see how the markets are reacting. Hope that you enjoyed today's show. If you did, give me a like. I really appreciate it. If you feel that this was some good information worth sharing, click on the share button right underneath, and then make sure that you subscribe and tune in again tomorrow when we talk about how do markets react to Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium in Wyoming. Until then, have a great rest of the day. See you tomorrow.